Thank you so much for all the questions that you guys sent in regards to my pregnancy journey. I am gonna answer all of them in this YouTube video. I have sort of like accumulated the questions into small categories. A lot of questions about conception, how we prepared to conceive and how long it took, how we found out we were pregnant and how I felt about it, how the first trimester was, did I have nausea, how did I deal with morning sickness. A lot of questions about overcoming pregnancy fears and how I sort of did that, what my journey was like. Some questions about birth planning. Am I planning to give birth in a hospital or at home? Will I have a doula? Gender. You guys are curious about the gender of the baby, and yes, I do know the gender and I will reveal it. And some, general questions about workouts and how does it feel to have a human inside of you. And I have a lot of thoughts there, so we'll get to that as well. So a lot of questions about how long it took to conceive, and the reality is that Carl and I were super lucky. We never even really got to like trying because it sort of happened immediately. So then Carl and I decided to go off birth control so that we could give ourselves the space to not be actively trying. We just went off it. I didn't even track ovulation or anything like that. We were just like, okay, now we're putting it out to the universe. And another question that I got a lot is how we found out that we were pregnant. And a lot of people were asking me like how I told Carl that we were expecting, and that's a funny question for me because there was never a moment of me telling Carl. This was always a journey of the two of us doing it together. So we bought the pregnancy test together. I think we're in the bathroom together as I was like peeing on it, and the first one we did actually showed negative. So then we waited for the date that I was supposedly going to get my period to do a test again. And that's when it was positive. I also got a lot of questions about any tips that I think, helped conceive, or what we sort of did in preparation for conception. I just cleaned up a lot of things in my routine. I found out that I am sensitive to gluten, which was not what I wanted to hear, but that led me to give up gluten. I also gave up alcohol, and I started to work out more often because I just had more energy. I also gave up coffee. I didn't necessarily prep for pregnancy, but I did a lot of health changes in my life, and I do think that those helped in our conception phase subconsciously. I also got a lot of questions about the first trimester. I was feeling very tired, so to suddenly have to nap 2 times a day was tough. When it comes to nausea, I definitely was feeling nauseous on a daily basis, I would say, for the first trimester. So what really helped was to eat a lot of lemon. I started to eat the lechuga con limón, which is a childhood favorite. It's just lettuce with a lot of lemon, salt, and a little bit of olive oil. And that really helped. The other thing that also helped was to eat smaller portions but more often, so not letting myself become too hungry. Hi guys, I am now back in my Brooklyn apartment in my closet, which is filled with clothes everywhere. I wanted to continue answering some of the questions that came in. Questions about changes in mood, skin, diet, and vitamins. I definitely had a lot of skin changes. Now it's good again, but in the first trimester, I actually had a lot of breakouts, and it's not something that I'm really used to, so it was a little annoying. I also had to change up my skincare routine. I love this serum. This serum has been my savior. Use this every day. Together with the nourishing cream and the eye cream, and I also use the Verso micellar water. In terms of diet, I changed up my diet before getting pregnant to be just more wholesome and clean in general. During pregnancy, however, I started to crave goat cheese. which was interesting. And I sort of decided to lean into whatever my body was craving. I'm a believer that the body knows how to self-regulate and that it normally asks for the things that it's lacking. So when I felt like eating goat cheese, I would add that to my salad. Fresh greens and vegetables, tomato with onion, ensalada la chilena, like we say in Chile, with a little bit of oil and salt, and a lot of lettuce with lemon. Also, a lot of questions about clothes, if I had to change my my clothing game, and yes, definitely. I'm grateful that a lot of the dresses that I own are like naturally very sort of like big and flowy, so I've been able to, you know, just use those, but it's been hard with bottoms. So this is my belly right now. So no denim is working over this belly right now. Some of the like stretchier shorts I've been able to, you know, still wear, and some I've been having to wear like underneath the belly, and then just opting for very flowy tops and flowy dresses. A big topic during my entire pregnancy has been the topic of pregnancy fears. I have had fears around pregnancy for as long as I can remember. I've experienced terrible fears around the idea of giving birth. I have also had a lot of fears of like giving up my identity and sort of giving up everything that I've worked so hard for in my life, you know, independence, career. I think in many ways I just haven't had close enough role models around me who have portrayed a type of sort of motherhood of pregnancy experience that I could relate to and aspire to have myself. My mom had really hard pregnancies and tough labors, so that's been sort of my only source of truth. The process for me in overcoming these fears was to first and foremost acknowledge that they were fears. Maybe I can reshape this to have a different outcome for myself. I started to talk about this in my therapy sessions a little bit, about the sort of fear of leaning on someone, fear of asking for help, fear of not being independent. I started to feel almost like a little bit of resentment towards men when I thought about parenthood, because still in today's modern society, it's so common that the woman carries the biggest burden of what it entails to build a family. And I just didn't want to fall victim for that. And this is a conversation to be had with my husband and sort of discuss together what would parenting mean for us. And one of the questions I received is, how is Carl helping you? So he's been extremely helpful. We sort of like have taken this journey on as a team. I also did a lot of self-work to overcome my pregnancy fears. So one was obviously talking to Carl and bringing him on to the journey and get him to understand where I was coming from. Another thing I did is that I connected on a more spiritual level with myself, my own spiritual guides. I did this through clairvoyant. Her name is Deganit, and she helped me through my grief, overcome fears. It's been super helpful for me, and I highly recommend. I will include her website. She does a ton of workshops, both IRL and virtual and so forth. So yeah, check her out. She's cool. And we got a lot of questions about birth planning, if we're planning to have a doula, if we're giving birth at home or in a hospital. So I haven't planned too much in detail. I hope to be able to give birth to my little baby in a healthy way. I hope to stay at home as long as possible, but I am scheduled to deliver at a hospital. And I'm gonna try to see how it feels to embrace sort of unmedicated birth and take help when I feel like I need it. But I'm definitely feeling empowered, and is it weird to say excited? No, I am definitely excited. I want to meet my baby. And yes, we're going with a doula for sure. Yeah, I think that's basically as much as I can share about our birth plan. It's the lead word is surrender. How does it feel to have a human inside of you? It is really weird, but it's also so nice. It's honestly such a blessing. It's beautiful. And everyone is asking gender. Do we know the gender? Yes, we do. We actually found out the gender really early on. Carl really wanted to know. I think more than anything, he just wanted to start visualizing this for himself. And I think for men, it can be hard to feel that visualization and connection when it's not inside of you. So I think the gender helped with that. For me, it obviously doesn't matter. I am just so happy that our little baby is healthy, and it's a girl. Oh, what a bit halva.